All right, here we are on this very special Martin Luther King Day show as we honor the great man that was Dr. Martin Luther King. We say this is a day of service. A lot of people are doing community type things today, working in the community. There will be a lot of parades in the community to honor Dr. Martin Luther King. We here on the Steve Harvey Morning Show are also doing something very special. As you may know, as you may have heard, our very own leader, our captain, Steve Harvey, had a meeting with President-elect Donald Trump on last Friday, and Steve is here to, you called in, Steve, to tell us about that meeting. You've had an interesting last couple of days, to say the least, huh, Steve?
It's been a little bit more than interesting. What I'm gonna do though, Shirley, because I've been getting so many requests for interviews, but since I have my own platform that reaches so many, I decided to make my statement here on my morning show, which has been so relevant for so many years as to getting out messaging. So I'm going to make my statement on it, and it'll be my final statement, and it's directed and aimed at the majority of my listening audience and people everywhere. So I'm going to make my statement concerning my meeting with President-elect Donald Trump. First, I want to say thank you to all the people who have reached out and shown me so much love and support. But I'm also very aware of the anger that so many people feel. And these voices will continue to be heard as they should. But I have an obligation to take a seat at the table when invited. Change can only happen when we sit at the table. If we sit at the table, then we can have a say-so onto what's to be eaten on the menu. If you're not at the table, you can't even refuse the menu or suggest what we should be eating. And so, therefore, I thought it was very important for me to take the meeting.
Okay. All right. Now, Steve, let's get into it. How did this meeting come about in the first place?
Well, several conversations were had prior to the meeting, but I didn't know if it was really real or not until I received an email through my TV show. And it was an email through some people from the Trump side. Mm-hmm. And it gave me an opportunity to meet with President-elect Donald Trump. And President Trump did not request this meeting personally, as I understood it, but it was set up by members of his team. And I didn't even know if it would happen until I got an email from an assistant who gave me a time and a day. And Shirley, I want to be clear here. Mm-hmm. Mr. Trump didn't ask me for any advice or help, and people should know that. I'm assuming that the transition team thought this would be a great meeting between the two of us. And when we met, it was a very cordial meeting. He was very warm, friendly, and honestly, when we talked, he was very sincere. We talked about golf. We talked about favorite golf courses. We talked about the election. And it started as just a meet and greet. I'm not ignorant here. I'm pretty sure, and his team is pretty smart. They know who's in that room clearly. Mm-hmm. They know what side I was on.
Now, Steve, let me stop you right there and just ask you, I'm sure you had to be conflicted to some degree about the phone call, about actually meeting with him. What was the determining factor? What were you trying to do? What was your goal in meeting with him? I know you mentioned something in your opening statement about a seat at the table. Why did you decide that it was important for you to meet with him?
Well, I thought it was important because the only way we can heal the divide in this country is through conversation. I don't think that we will ever unify this country or begin a healing process until we talk to one another. When I listened to President Obama's final speech in Chicago, one of the things he said that stuck out of my head, where he was asking people to get from behind the computers and get out and get involved. Well, I don't text and tweet, and I don't blog, but I have a microphone. So from my standpoint, being the person that I am and the person that God has made me to be, I took that and said, okay, well, let me step from behind the microphone and take a seat at the table when invited to discuss. I didn't know what it would be about exactly, but to my surprise, it turned out really, really interesting, because after the meet and greet section of the conversation, to his credit, he asked me, what did I want?
So you're saying Donald Trump, president-elect, asked you, what did you want?
Yeah, because I'm assuming that people who had been meeting with him wanted certain things.
Okay.
And so after we exchanged all the pleasantries and everything, he asked me, well, Steve, what do you want? And that's when I took the opportunity to say that I wanted to help aid in any way I could to help improve the housing conditions in the inner cities. I was aware that he had appointed Dr. Ben Carson, the head of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, and if I could be of assistance in helping him move that initiative along, that I would be of service in that regard. And I felt that I could get the voice of the people in those communities, and with my reach in these communities, could possibly get some positive things done. Now, here's what was amazing to me, and I have to tell you what he did. While we were talking, he said, that sounds great. He immediately got Dr. Ben Carson on the phone, and he said, Steve wants to help with any HUD initiatives. And that threw me, because I'm sitting there going, I've never seen anybody jump into action so quickly at a request. You know, I'm not a politician, so quite naturally I'm thinking it's a ton of red tape. You got to go there. Man got this man on the phone immediately. And Dr. Ben Carson and I talked for the first time. We talked for several minutes over the speaker. He was very receptive to me in aiding him in that area. And that was the beginning of it. But I tell you what the part was that I also had a chance to say was, I said to the president-elect, if we had some facilities provided in these inner cities that could provide a place where young boys and girls could come for hope and vision with some type of training component to it to help curb, I knew it wouldn't alleviate, but it would help curb some of the problems that's plaguing our inner cities. And I don't have all the answers, but I do know that mentoring and guidance has changed so many young people's lives. So Dr. Carson and I talked briefly about Chicago as a place. We talked about his hometown of Detroit. I mentioned that I was from Cleveland, and they were very receptive because they want to do something with these inner cities. And I didn't expect him to respond so quickly, but he did. And Shirley, I'm going to tell you, when I walked away feeling that there might be a real chance for some positive to come out of what so many think is all doom and gloom.
Yeah, and that's an opportunity you could not have missed. Now, let me ask you this, Steve. Were you surprised? I know you mentioned at the top that there was a lot of love that you got, but were you surprised at the backlash from the very people you felt you were representing and trying to help with having a meeting with the president-elect?
On a personal note, a lot of y'all hurt me. You really did. I didn't expect the backlash to be so vicious. And, you know, but I also understand that if I'm going to keep getting stabbed at, now I'm still Steve Harvey, so please understand, if I'm going to keep getting stabbed at, then at least while you stabbing me, you should understand my intent for even taking the meeting in the first place. See, when I'm in this table, I'm sitting in these meetings with people who make policy decisions and decide what the menu is. When I'm sitting at the table, it gives me an opportunity to say what we would like to have on the menu. And so, as far as HUD going and better housing and conditions in the inner cities, see, Steve Harvey ain't got a dollar invested in rental property. I don't have any money being made in the housing industry. I've never had a renovated apartment, a house, or anything. So it ain't about me and my personal gains. Mm-hmm. It's only that I care about the inner cities. I'm from the hood. I've been trying to do my part for years for boys and girls. Look, man, I don't want to have to sit here. Y'all know how I am. But doggone it, hey, man, this Steve Harvey here. I've been putting in the work for years. These are not my children. I care about y'all's kids. I care about these inner cities because that's where I'm from. I love kids that's not mine. And so when I got the chance, look, Shirley, I don't need housing. I got 4 houses.
This is true, Steve.
I got 7 kids to mentor.
Yes.
My kids ain't in trouble. Oh, they make bad decisions because they growing up. They trying to get it. Hell, their daddy done made some bad decisions. But, I just love children who need a chance. I've been fighting to help single mothers with their boys all this time. And if I can get an opportunity to say to the man that's about to become the 45th president of the United States who wanted to talk to me, who was cordial to me, who talked to me with respect and actually did something instantly, why would I not take that opportunity to say some of these things? And then he responded immediately. I had to give him credit for that.
All right, Steve, we have to take a break, so hang on. We'll get back to this.
You're listening to the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
All right, we're back with Steve Harvey, the captain of our ship. Steve, let's continue. A person in your position, just like any other powerful man or woman that's in a powerful position such as yours, or, that has a voice for millions, they're going to have to make hard decisions, tough decisions. And I'm sure you anguished about the decision a little bit, but, before and after. But I mean, a person does what he has to do. And in this instance, like you said, you weren't in it for yourself. You were in it for the people that you were trying to help. And, from my perspective, all we can do is salute you for that because you didn't make the call. They called you and they asked you, what do you want? What do you want?
You know what, Shirley, that's true. But I'm going to be clear, and everybody hear me clearly. I'm going to continue this fight at this new level that God has placed me in. See, I've often said, and this is true, that your career is what you paid for, but your calling is what you made for. See, I didn't ask for this. This landed in my lap. So, there's a poem when I pledged, and a lot of people who pledge will understand. There's a line in Invictus that helps me so many times. Nothing helps me more than my Heavenly Father.
Amen.
But there's a line in the poem in Invictus that said, my head is bloody but unbowed. See, I still love my people, even the ones that don't understand. I'm going to keep on fighting for you until more of us do understand that all the fights ain't in the streets. Some of these fights is in the boardroom. Some of these fights is in the vote. And that's what our president has said. It's in the vote. It's in the boardrooms. And when you can sit at these tables, we can't be mad forever. Oh, okay, so what am I going to say now, Shirley, on behalf of people that I respect and love across this country? No, we don't want better housing. No, we don't want no facilities. No, we don't want none of that because we mad at who president. Yeah. Well, he is the 45th president on the 20th. Now, we ain't got to like that, but that's what it is. But if this man was willing to talk and hear anything and then react so swiftly, I just have to give him the credit to that. I will, if they ever ask me to talk again, I have to do it again. I wish everybody understood. I really do.
Steve,
but I get it when you don't.
You have to stay in the game. You have to continue to look at the big picture because that's who you are. And, I wish I could talk to you forever for this, but, we have to go. I'm always on you about going to commercials and all of that. But your takeaway, as we close, this will be your final question, your takeaway and your thoughts in the future.
Well, my takeaway is simple. Where God is leading me in my life, I've often not cared about the route that he's chosen to send me on. I ain't been crazy about some of the trips I done had to take to get to the destination. I wasn't happy with Miss Universe. I didn't like that. But I did ask God to increase my global presence and persona to say things that would help others. Now, here I am. And so this is where I'll stay. I thank everybody. Shirley, I love you. I love the people. I love my listeners. I love the people I represent. I love people around this country who supported me. I love people around this world who sometimes don't get it, but it's okay. I'm going to keep fighting the fight. I love y'all. Thank you very much, Shirley.
All right, you're welcome. And hey, listen, happy birthday tomorrow. We'll say it again, but happy birthday. Enjoy yourself, Steve.
Hey, good. Tomorrow, we're going to do that.
Yes! All right, Steve.